Hey, Adam. Thank you for stopping by, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, the moving. I literally got back home, showered, ran to Walmart, and got back here. Ate dinner from 7:45 till about 10 minutes after 8. So, yeah, the moving is hectic to say the least. Hey, like I said, I appreciate you stopping by. I know it's I'm starting late, but like I mentioned, all this stuff has to be packed, so I'm not. I'm not stopping. So even if, like I mentioned, there's 0 people watching, that's not going to stop me from going ahead and packing the cars and talking about them tonight. These are the last 3 cases of TYCO and AFX. And then, believe it or not, that will be 14 cases that we've wrapped up. And then I'm sorry, 12 cases that have been wrapped up. And then we've only got the 4 Auto World, basically. And I'm trying to find my channel here so I can see what you guys are seeing to make sure everything's in frame. My computer doesn't show me exactly the way it is. And then a couple of things came in Saturday, so I figured we would go ahead and start with those. And I am sitting farther away from the camera because I noticed I was still getting some of those awesome clicks. Oh, cool! Yeah, you're getting to double down tonight, Adam. Yeah, I saw that he had done that, but I was, like I said, I was right in the middle of moving, so actually probably unpacking at that time. All right, there we go. All right, well, hey, we got my mandatory 5 before we start. Hey, they call me the mayor. All right. All right, yeah, thank you for catching the live one, and thank you for spending some time on your Sunday evening. Like I said, I know most people are winding down the weekend, getting prepped up for the Monday morning blues, just like I am. Um, Fortunately for me, I scheduled myself to work from home tomorrow, so I'll be staying up late tonight since I don't have to worry about that morning commute and getting up earlier. And that's why, like I mentioned earlier, if you're, hey Cliff, thank you for stopping by. Ryburn, thank you too. Um, Even if no one's watching tonight, I am going to finish these last 3 cases of the TYCO and AFX, and then I have 4 more of the just strictly Auto World. Um, and what I've done tonight is these are just all F1 TYCO Indy cars, and then the next row is my personal runners on the track and some house cars. And then I told you guys I'd save my personal old school from when I was a kid case for last, and it has some more TYCO in it too. But it's a mix of TYCO and AFX, so we got a little bit of both. All right, cool. See, light some sparks and melt some plastic. They call me the mayor. I'm glad to hear that, man. I got to live vicariously through everybody, like that slot car guy. He's building a new track and getting his up and running. I'm in the process of moving right when I was getting ready to have power on mine. So, between Dan's videos, H.O. Buckeye drag racing, there's a lot of good people out there making good video content with racing. So, try to support everybody. And like I said, I'm having to live vicariously through them. This is kind of an odd box size for just a single car. And I've only got a little bit of stuff coming because I think I got like one more look at what Scott's got episode before the move because I literally stopped ordering anything, even if it was for the business, because depending on how the court date goes Wednesday, depends on whether or not I've got to be out by Saturday or later. So you plan for the worst and hope for the best. And I'm planning for the worst, which means I need to be out of this place by Saturday of this week. So, all right. Sorry about the clicking, I'm sure. I apologize. Here, let's get the scissors out and get this done quicker. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the mayor. I was in contact with Dan earlier today. He was even asking me if I was going to do a live stream. And whenever he texted me, I was in the middle of actually still moving. Like I said, it's been a nightmare, guys. I finally got, I'd say, a good 90% of my garage moved. I've got most everything else packed except for this room, and obviously clothes that can be just hung up on racks and stuff like that. So we're getting there. All right. All right, guys. Well, obviously, this is going to be one to add to the box, one of the boxes here, and this is the Venerable Shadow. And if you guys remember the last time I was packing, and I had those two different versions, the orange, white, red, and gold, or an orange and yellow. And then I had the two alternate versions of that one. And I mentioned that I wanted to get one of the Shadows because I didn't have one. And I knew at that time that I had this one ordered. And I know you can still buy these bodies new old stock, but this is on the Magna Traction chassis. And I wanted one that was original and OG. And this one fit the bill. It's in perfect shape. All the tampo's perfect, the sticker's perfect. Everything's good to go on this bad boy. So I've got my original OG, and I am going to try to get a couple of those extra new old stock bodies just to have. But like I said, that's just a good looking car, all in perfect shape. Nothing's been broken. And if you're a kid of the 70s and 80s, then you're going to remember this car. And that's, like I said, one of those childhood cars because it was on a lot of AFX promotional stuff. So cool car. I'm glad I got that. Yeah, see, Cliff, that's I don't know if you caught one of my episodes, and I forget if I'm repeating to the people that have already heard this, because the amount of time that I'm spending doing stuff is just blurring the days together. But anyway, I mentioned that I'm in the process of trying to get all my childhood cars that I'd seen and wanted, but for whatever reason wasn't able to get, like they weren't available at my local hobby shops, or I didn't get lucky when I bought the race set. So, um, or Sears or anything like that. So, that Shadow was never even offered anywhere around here because I specifically was looking for it, and I specifically kept asking for it, and Santa Claus could never find it. So once again, it was one of those, hey, I wanted those when I was a kid. I'm old enough to afford it. There's plenty of them out there. Let's just do it. Get her done. Your warrior's out. Yeah. See, that's why I'm going to get extra bodies. I like that body. And as you know, you can put a lot of different chassis underneath those old Magna Traction chassis or bodies, I'm sorry. And so it's going to be flexible. All right. Well, as many of you know, and if you don't, I'll catch you up real quick. Obviously I'm a collector, and I'm always looking to try to get as many of the what I call new old stock in the package carded cars. And I've been specifically working a lot on trying to get a lot of the 2-packs or specialty packs going, because like Scale Auto had a few of them that were exclusive. Toys R Us had some that were exclusive to them. So there's a lot of them that were produced, but you could only buy them from certain retail locations. And I know this one's not in the greatest shape. It's been yellowed from having too much sun to it, but um, like I said, sometimes beggars can be choosers, and you've got to take what you can get if you're trying to add to your collection. So obviously here, this is the TYCO Super Stalkers with the, I want to make sure I'm right here. Yeah, Ernie Irvin. I wanted to make sure because there were a couple of drivers on this car. So Ernie Irvin and then Dale Earnhardt Sr. And both of them in their Luminas. So this is one that obviously once I get moved will be back up on the wall. Hey, Clint, thank you for stopping by, buddy. Just in time to see the latest acquisition for wall art is what I call it. And like I said, I know it's not coming out. I'm looking at the video, and you can kind of see some of the yellowing, and it's not real bad. And I know that when I get done doing my Novus, because one of my tips, and then we'll get started, I use, whenever there's some yellow packaging, I use the 3 and the 2 and the 1 on these. And that really, believe it or not, that takes away some of that yellowing. So I know I can get rid of some of it. I'm not going to be able to get rid of all of it, but I will be able to get rid of some of it. And you can see that the front was the side that it was exposed to the sun just by flipping over the back, and you see how much clearer it gets. So if we can get rid of some of that damaged plastic from the UV rays, then it will get down to the good plastic. So good one to have. Can't go wrong with Ernie Irvin. You definitely can't go wrong with anything that says Dale Earnhardt or Junior. So good find, good buy. I got my book right here. It's bothering me. I want to see what twin pack or who. I'm almost positive that was an exclusive, but I don't want to speak out my tail. Super Stalkers. 89941 is the part number. Okay, so there were two of these super stockers with the 8944 part number designation. One of them was the Miller Genuine Draft and the STP 43. And then here we have the Kodak number 4 and the Goodrich number 3 stockers. The former, the Miller Genuine Draft number 27 and STP 43 stockers is an availability of 1. So if you ever see that bad boy out there and you're a collector, you're going to want to grab it, because that means 1 is the rarest of the rare that actually has a part number. And this one particular here is what they called a good collector. It's a 3 rating, but you know, it's been a while since this has been made. Let's see what the date says here, and then we'll get started. 1992. So this bad boy is 30 years old. So 30 years ago, this was still a decent collector. Yeah, 1992. That's what the back of the package says here. Yep. And I was wrong. It's not exclusive, but it does share the same part number for that Super Stocker series. So you're not going to be able to look it up on eBay with just the 89941 and the letter T, because both the Rusty Wallace and the Petty have the same part number as this Ernie Irvin and the Lumina. So, but I'm sure you could put that in there and either one of them would pop up. But just so you know, yeah, that's interesting. Very same part number exactly. And okay, so yeah, I was right. This is a those two packs are exclusives, and they were exclusive to the United Model Distributor, UMD. So only that distributor was given these, and only the people that bought from that distributor that had access to them, unless you bought it on down the line. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, a lot of these 2-packs are exclusives to certain manufacturers, and this is the first one that I know of that I have that is that UMD. Like I said, there's Toys R Us, Scale Auto, and Sears, and then this one. So there were 5 companies that contracted these 2-packs or specialty packs, besides TYCO making their own. So there we go. Cool. Good way to start the evening. A couple of really cool cars. Got me an old mid late 70s AFX Shadow. And I'll show that off one more time because I'm really proud, boy. That like I said, it's on the original chassis, and this thing is just spotless. Spotless. A lot of times you can find them and the chrome's kind of worn off on the wings and stuff. Not this bad boy. It is perfection. This was a shelf queen. Yeah, you can tell by the shoes. There's very little wear. So I was really glad to get that. And then this was the other thing that Scott got. So without further ado, let's move this stuff out of the way and get started with the other half of the show, which is packing. Oh yeah, both of them. Ernie Irvin, especially after he had his wreck, and then you know, Earnhardt's just a legend. And if you ever go on to it's called UBTV. It's free. It's probably on your TV's main SmartCast menu. You can look at the app and open it up. It's free to use, and they have a classic NASCAR's channel. And if you're into NASCAR or if you're into drag racing, either one, because they have both, and you like the old stuff, they have it. There we go. And so I really get off on sitting there watching some of those old NASCAR and NHRA drag races. And honestly, guys, if you go and watch that NHRA channel and see some of the history of drag racing, those guys were crazy. I'm just straight up crazy. All right, let's get this all prepped up. Got the ceiling fan going. And we're going to start off with the first 2 rows are set cars only. And the first 2 rows, so I'll save a lot of time, are only available in track sets, and we're not available as individual cars on a card like I just showed what I got. So as you can see here, I've got both the targets, if it's coming out right on one on top of the other, but I put my ones that are in the bags up here. So I was able, fortunately, to get, if you remember, this is one of the runners that I have for my Indy car F1 class for the house cars that has the hopped up chassis on it. Well, that's why I turned that one into a runner's, because I have one of them that's sealed in the baggie. And this is an exclusive to Target. And it was their Target Raceway set to honor their, I can't remember how many championships that they had won with Chip Ganassi, but that was the whole premise. I think they were with him for 11 years is why they got that on there. Don't quote me on that, but I don't have that race set yet, but I know where one is, but it's just not in my wheelhouse of purchase time now. So yes, exactly, Ryburn. That's exactly why a lot of times if Brian or Ryan aren't doing live feed with Tinker during the day when I can have it on my TV in the background, then that's why I put that old nostalgia NASCAR on, or the old nostalgia NHRA drag racing, because I'm a racing fool, and it's kind of cool to look at the where we came from and where we're at, and then you can see where both series kind of made some mistakes. And this was just a set car, the number 2. And if you remember, I had purchased this open, and I have one also that's sealed in the baggie. And the reason why I purchased the one that was open too, like I mentioned, they're set cars only. There's a lot of different liveries with the Ferrari, and this is all of these are shark nose up until we get, and I'll tell you when we're not in the shark nose section. But once again, this is one of those hard to find in the World Tour racing sets. Set only the number 2. So you can find the number 3 every so often and the number 4, but this is the number 2, so a little harder to find, especially new in the baggie. So that's why I'm really happy about that. All right, so we started off with a couple of set cars that I don't own the sets to, but now we're going to go to a couple of set cars that I do own the set to. And this is once again in a World Tour Hot Wheels electric racing set. Like I said, I personally own this set. When I go and do the unpacking and show all my sets off, then I'll put the cars that go with the correct set. But I really wanted this one because this is one of the few Fords when Ford had gotten back into it. And I don't remember exactly which one I have. It's this as far as the name of the specific track set. But yeah, HSBC is the primary sponsor on this one. But just a good looking car, still in the package, like I said. And I own this set, so not very many variations of the Fords in F1, other than when Ford owned Jaguar. I'd love to have that race set. Oh, sorry, I hear my camera clicking. I'll back up. Every time YouTube notifies me of something, it blocks part of the chat. And I want to see if you guys are saying something while I'm going along. And like I get it, I thank all 8 people that are joining me tonight live. If you're not live and you're viewing this later, please leave a comment below, because I have turned on live comments and comments for viewing after it's recorded. And please, if you haven't already, this isn't all I'm doing. This is just me packing. I do have future plans for content and cross-channel stuff with some others. They're making these videos, so please hit the like, subscribe. Please support all of the other H.O. slot car video creators that I've listed below in my description, and support the people that support the hobby. Now, this one is the number 10 Buzzin' Hornets Jordan car. You might have seen this one quite a bit on eBay and stuff. I think this is the one that comes in the twin pack. Well, here, I'll just look real quick. I got the twin packs right here. Yep, it is. Oh, I'm sorry, the Cars and Crew, not twin pack. This is the one that comes in the Cars and Crew. So you could get this in the set or in the Cars and Crew. But that was the only way to get these cars. So those bubbled, steel sealed set cars are nice. And then we started off with the Target sealed car. And this is here, I'm going to get, now that we're out of the bubbles, this is the other set car for the Target. And you'll see this one again later because I have it as a runner for my F1 hopped up Indy, whatever car class you want to call it, with TYCO with those hopped up chassis. So we'll see this bad boy again, but this is as close to new without being in a baggie as you can get. As you can see, it looks like someone kind of scraped it on the rails, and that's about it, because there's literally no carbon on the bottom inside of that little clear window. So that was a really good find. And those cars, since I bought those, have just shot up in price. Insane in the membrane. All right. And if a few of you remember, I had the Mika Hakkinen World Tour set car that I had sold, and I actually sold that one. And the reason why I did is because I was fortunate enough to buy the set, and it came with cars, but they were already open. And so this is what that car is. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Remember, there's two different versions of this car depending on if it was American or if it was what they called an international set. And if it was an American set, it's going to have the red, what they call stanchions, or little winglets, and highlighted in orange or red here. And then on the other international set, those are orange. Or I may have it backwards. Like I said, I don't have my book out. But either way, that's how you tell them both apart, is the color. So if you're wanting to collect all the Mika Hakkinen Mercedes, you will need to get both the orange and the red versions. And I own both of those race sets, so I can't remember where I put the cars. We may have already seen them. Like I said, days are starting to blur together, guys. I'm sorry. And here's another Buzzin' Hornets. And this one's the number 8. And as you can see, I'm going to put the number 12 up here next to it just so it shows the comparison. But they're both set cars. Let me see what's showing on the TV real quick. See if it's the colors are showing differently, or the lights. There it is. Yeah, a little bit. So this is more like a neon yellow, and this one here is more like a what I would call a mustard type yellow. And this is, like I said, the Buzzin' Hornets, and this one version is what they call the Bitten and Hisses, number 12. So we have the number 8 and the number 12. And if you're familiar with these, you know that they kind of change their liveries depending on what track that they went to. Some good looking cars. Once again, kind of like the Ferraris, there's a lot of different liveries of these Buzzin' Hornets or the Bitten and Hisses. So you can see it's got the Hornet on the nose up there, and on this one, it's got the snake. And I'll get it closer to see if the camera doesn't freak out. And if I hear it click, I'll stop. There we go. Yeah, there, now you can see. So anyway, yeah, you can kind of see the differences in the colors, and there's the snake and the Hornet. So pretty cool cars. But this one is the one that came with the World Tour set with the Mika Hakkinen in there. So that's how we tell those apart. The part number, or the car number, and the shade makes it real easy to tell. So kind of killed two birds with one stone there. Yes, Adam, I have. I just haven't been able to keep up on the new stuff that's been put out since this weekend started, because literally, if I'm not moving, then I'm showering, eating, and then I'm using the DVR to go through racing that I had recorded just so I can kind of keep up. And between the all 3 series of the NASCAR, the ARCA, drag racing, motorcycle racing, you name it, you know. A lot of stuff to keep up with on the old DVR, and I still haven't even finished watching it all. I don't even know, none of it's going to get watched tonight. In fact, I was watching the Reading, Pennsylvania drag race finals right before I went live because I was just finishing dinner. Once again, I mentioned there's a lot of different liveries of the Ferrari. This happens to be the number 1. And you can see it's a little more plain Janey. Ferrari's just kind of proud of their heritage, so they don't really, you know. Just in case anybody didn't know that maybe not a real avid F1 fan, or you just kind of casually watch it. Ferrari does nothing but make public cars to do racing. That is their main goal. They are a race car company. So they produce street driven cars just to support the race teams. So that's kind of cool. And this one is the number 4, and we've all seen it. There's been several of those for sale on eBay recently. The Avery is what that one is, and the Shell. But like I said, you can tell there's a lot of different liveries with Ferrari, and it's almost like they changed every time they had a race. Yeah, all right, Ryburn. Yeah, no, I'm a racing fool. If I can't race slot cars, then I watch it on YouTube, and I still watch it even if I can, obviously. But you know, I watch it more now than ever because, like I said, I'm living vicariously through everybody else. And then, yeah, my real racing car, the motor's out of it, so it'll be next spring before I get to rip it down the track. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get to play with it whenever it gets running, but so this is the I believe this one's the Aussie Vineyards version of the Mega G that I showed earlier, and it would be the Shark Nose version for TYCO 440X2 that they sold recently on Pro Tinker Toys. That was a Super G Plus version. I don't have that version, but I have both versions of this car with what they call the F1 style and the Shark Nose. So this is the Shark Nose version, powered by Ford. Pretty cool, good looking car. And we'll see it again here real soon. If you can see, I kind of doubled them up there so you can see the new version and the old version. I like those Shark Noses, but trying to collect them is kind of hard because, like I said, most of them are set cars. I mentioned we'd see this Renault a lot. You know, the other night I showed you a brand new old stock that I'd gotten. I showed you one that I had as a runner, and I've got one that's on the wall. And here's the one that I have in the case, and it's another new old stock, just loose basically. And the reason why I kept this one and put it in with the other, and you'll see because I'm getting ready to go to it next, because there's many highlights in this case, but this is going to be the first one. We're getting ready to see another zero car. And in case, while I'm wrapping this up, if you're new to watching me, TYCO rates their cars as availability from 0 to 5. 0 means that it is not assigned a part number. It was a pre-production. There were only pictures, and since there was no part number officially made, there was no assigned to it. That meant that there was no number of them of amount that they knew of that was made. So some of them are made, some of them weren't. This is a zero car that was made, but it was not released. And this is the F1 body version of that very same Shark Nose Renault that I just showed you. And believe it or not, I was able to buy 5 of these bodies from that Taiwanese overseas vendor that I mentioned. And then I sold 3 of them with brand new chassis for $50 a pop. And I still have one more body, and then this one that I put in there. And if I'd been using my brain cell, I'd have held on to all of them for quite some time, because zero cars, like I mentioned, rating, not only is it the part number or the car number 0, but it is a 0 availability car. So this one does not have a part number. This is one of those super rare rares that's not a test shot. So it almost made it to production, but it didn't for whatever reason. Licensing fell through, whatever. But so if you see one of these bad boys on eBay and it's not broken up, I would definitely try to grab it. So there's our first 0 car tonight. And I mentioned that I had the Shark Nose Aussie Vineyards, and this is what they call the F1 version body in the TYCO world. There's, like I mentioned, there's 4 different bodies in the TYCO world. There's the Chaparral, the Wildcat, the F1, and the Shark Nose. And that's kind of the order of how old the cars are and their body styles and how they went. The Wildcat and the Chaparrals are kind of common. about the same time. But the F1, you know, it was its own era, and then the shark nose was its own era. They didn't mix and match them. It was either these or nothing, and then the shark nose or nothing. But this is just the same version of that, the other, just the F1. Thank you for everybody that's hit the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Like I said, I see people bounce in and bounce out. It's all good. I know it's Sunday night. All right. And here we go. We're going to start with the Marlboros. As you can see, we've got some pretty pricey Marlboros here. This is the number 8 Marlboro Shell, McLaren Ford. And this one brings some really good money on eBay if you know what you're looking for. The number 8. And I know it's getting whited out, so I'm going to try to move it closer so you can kind of see it. But these old ones like this that are new old stock are harder and harder to find, when they're McLaren Ford, that's even harder. So most of them are Ferrari when they're Marlboro. So that's a good one to have. And here we have your wonderful Total Control Racing Jam Car number 2, new old stock with the little flag wing on it. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but you can see there the front wheels turn, and it doesn't have a pin, so that's why it's able to slide around on the slot. But I figured if I'm going to get all the different versions of try to get them anyway, the Marlboro themed cars, I might as well try to even get the Jam Car and the Total Control ones. So that's what inspired me to buy that one. You notice I have a lot of the TCR bodies because those are sometimes different liveries than what they produced in sets or on cards. So, you know, just to have the different version. And I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, because here we're going to get the perfect example of what I was talking about any car that has cigarettes or alcohol is going to be a collector. And here it is. I don't know how well it's going to show up. I'm going to try to get it close. But you can see the little dashes right there, and that's where that's supposed to say Marlboro. Most of them will still use the standard 440 chassis. They call me the mayor. So you can just take that TCR chassis out, stick your whatever chassis underneath it. I normally put 440 chassis underneath them, but anything that normally fits the 440 chassis down, like from your TYCO Pros up, curb huggers, HP7s, 440s, yeah, all of them. Good question. No problem, man. That's why I'm here. This is interactive. So anybody out there now or watching later, if you've got questions, comments, if I'm wrong about something, please definitely let me know. Like I said, I don't know everything. I just know what that little TYCO Bible tells me and what I've learned from other people. And I know that this one's when the government decided that slot cars and cars for kids that had alcohol and cigarette advertising on them were marketed towards kids, which was ridiculous. But anyway, and that's where they got rid of the Marlboro. So that's why that one's kind of special. Is that's the beginning of that era when Marlboro still sponsored the car, but you couldn't put Marlboro on there. So they put the exact number of dashes that would spell Marlboro on the same in the very same place. And that one was once again on the F1 or the Indy is what they called it. And this is the number 11. And this one's on the Chaparral body. Marlboro, see, Marlboro. Right up there, right on the wing. You know, this on the sides. This is before the government tried to save us from ourselves. Good looking rendition of the car. Love it. This is, like I said, the Chaparral body style. So anytime you see that wing and that wing in the back, That's the Chaparral. Oh, sorry, on a 440 chassis. Okay, now remember that number 11 said Marlboro. This number 11 Chaparral dashes. So there's the two variants. Obviously, the one that says Marlboro is more rare than this one. But if you're a collector, you got to have them both, and I do. And once again, same car, same everything, except no Marlboro on the wing, no Marlboro on the side, no on the up there by the air intake behind the driver, and no Marlboro right there. Now they have Honda, and it's bigger, and they moved it more towards the center. Exactly, went from toy to adult collectible. Right there with you. That's exactly what it is. And when you get older, the X2 version, the old school 440, which makes it the, that's what feeds the toy industry is little kids and adults that go back and buy their old childhood toys. And this one will be the last of the Marlboro section. Then you'll see we'll get into my Canon. And this one just so happens, if you remember the other night when I mentioned, this is also on the Chaparral body. This is what they call the Motta, M-O-T-T-A, and it's right there on the wing. This is the Motta number 22. It's right there on the back wing too. This is back when they didn't care if it said Marlboro main sponsor. What's unique about this one, why it has the white shoes, is because this is my car. I only reason why I put it in there instead of with my others is because I wanted it to be with the other Marlboros. But this is one of the cars that when my buddy and I moved out and we're going to college, and we turned the third bedroom in the house. But this is one of the other ones that I'd bought. Silicone shoes that I bought at the hobby bought it. So, and this car pulls down 80 to 100 bucks every time I see it because it is so rare. And it's amazing that this car got raced. I mean, obviously it got raced, guys. I know it got raced. I mean, look how dirty those shoes are. I ran this car all the time. We raced all the time when we weren't studying. And I didn't break a wing on it. Nothing's broken on this thing. It's perfect. Unreal. Got so lucky. So lucky on a 440 chassis, not an X2. So I've got almost all the Marlboro livery. I think there's a couple of them I'm missing. All right, here's the first of the Canon number 5s in the Chaparral body version. On a 440 X2 chassis. We've all kind of seen those. I'll point out different stuff that makes one different than another. And we're getting ready to get to a couple of those cars, so I'll just put them both up there at the same time. We'll kill the proverbial two birds with one stone thing. All righty. And both of these are the number 5. And if you remember, when I was going through my AFX and my Tomy, I had the turbo version and the Super G Plus version of this car. And what makes these two different is pretty obvious. You can see this is the cost cutter car, and this one isn't. This is what they call the Labatt's Cannon number 5 Renault. And this is with it's in all of its glory. And this is the cost cutter version. No number 5, no Canadian flag, same elf Renault livery there, same cannon there, nothing on the front wing, nothing on the front wing on the top where there is up here. So if you are a collector, you're going to want to get both versions because obviously this is the one that was released the most of. This is the cost cutter that was probably put in some sets. And they do that to save money in case you missed out, so they don't have to pay those royalty fees. And I'm sure they didn't want to pay Labatt's, or it could have been that this was during the time that the alcohol and tobacco was getting banned. So either way, you want to get both of them if you're a collector. And then the next one is a new old stock that I haven't, I've got like 20 narrow chassis and enough parts to put them all together, obviously. And so I've got a new old stock Canon F1 body that I'm going to do that to. So I'll actually have a new old stocker loose. So it's still in the sealed in the baggie. This is one of those Taiwan purchases. So it's halfway around the world, but I'll stick it up there. You can see it's the F1 version body style, not the chaparral like the last two I showed you. So this one's kind of harder to find. You can find those chaparral versions of that Canon car pretty easy. Not the first one, not that chaparral, but the other two. So anyway, yeah, that's, you can tell they kind of offset the colors. If memory serves me correct, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll look it up if I am, and let you guys know in the next video. But I believe this was the Japanese release version of this car, if memory serves me. Like I said, days start running together. I know tomorrow is work day, but that's only because I was able to move during the day that I'd normally be working. All right, so we're kind of ripping through them pretty good. Not even 9 o'clock. We're already halfway through our first case and didn't get started till about 8:30. So some of these I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because you've already seen them before, and then ones we haven't seen, then I'll spend more time. This is the Nigel Mansell. If you remember, I've got this one as a runner with a new old stock body. Remember, I told you I bought 10 of those from that Taiwanese vendor, same one that I bought that Japanese version of the Canon car. So this is a new old stock with one of those new old stock chassis I told you I rebuilt or built myself, and then put that bad boy together. So Nigel Mansell number 5. You also remember I've got him on the wall with his little transporter. Awesome guy. Once again, if I'm wrong, someone please correct me, but I believe he was the first F1 driver to come over and win the Indy car at that time championship. So, little thing about Nigel. And here's the vaunted Quaker State F1 Indy car. And this is a new old stock from that same Taiwanese vendor. And it was on one of those buy it nows. So you just, you happen to be on eBay and be at the right time. And this one cost me $50. But as you know, if you've tried to price this thing even used, you're going to pay more than $50 at most times if it's in this kind of condition. Well, at least $50 if it's new old stock. But if it's used, yeah, if it's in this close to similar condition, you're going to be paying close to that anyway. So this was a good buy. I've seen this car sell routinely from anywhere from $60 to $90 used. So I know I've got a good $100 version there if I ever decide to get rid of it. So like I said, you just sometimes right place, right time. And then the third most important thing, and I'll say it again, money. Gotta have the money. And this next one we've seen before is a runner. It's the Benetton Ford, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. You already know it's new old stock, because the other one that's a racer is new old stock. And obviously I put a new old stock chassis underneath it, 440X2. So we can kind of skip by that one because, like I said, we already heard about it. These Benetton Fords are they're just cool looking cars. They're easy to pick out. Not hard to get your car confused with somebody else's on the track, since a lot of them are white or red or blue or something like that, that yellow and all the different colors. Oh, I'm talking not Ryburn. I'm not sure exactly about Indy. I'm talking about the Indy series and actually being the champion of that series. Now, I do know that Damon Hill ran at Indy, but I don't know if he ever won what I would call the IndyCar American Championship. That's what I was referring to Nigel Mansell. He was the, to my knowledge, the first F1 driver champion that came over and won the American IndyCar Championship. And once again, this is another one of those new old stock, number 27 on the F1 body Ferrari. We've already seen this one. I have one of these as a runner. Like I said, I bought 10 of those bodies off of that vendor. Oh, no, you're good, Robert. Don't apologize, man. No, you're good. I'm all about talking racing, and that's why I tell people if I'm wrong, let me know, because it won't be the first and it won't be the last. This was the number 27 with the F1 body, and I'm getting ready to show you the number 27 with the chaparral body, which is the tougher one to find. And it's been my experience anyway. So there you go. That's the chaparral body, as you can tell the difference. But I didn't already put them all up. Where's that? Yeah, here we go. I'll just use this Pennzoil as an example, but this is a chaparral body style with that wing, and this is the one they call the F1 style with that body. So whenever you hear me talk about chaparral, this is what body style I'm talking about. And if I say F1 Indy is how they termed it, then it's this wing style up front. So this number 27 Ferrari that's on the chaparral is tougher to find. It's your rare one of the two. But honestly, either one of them are going to cost you some money if they're in really good shape. And we have another 27. And they would call this one the Wildcat Body, and you can see how they did the nose different on it. This is, I believe, an availability 2 or a 1. You'll know when you see the number 27s offset on either side. This one's a really good rendition. It's got all the stickers. I didn't buy this one brand new. This is used, but I was fortunate enough to really get a good version, a good copy of it. So. And we got a couple of them here that I need to point out some differences, because there's like 4 different versions of this car, and I have 2 of them. So I'll show off both of them at the same time, and we'll do the proverbial 2 birds and 1 stone thing again. And I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see on the camera because it's whitening it out, but these are what they call the this is the 2 bar and this is the 3 bar, number 12 Ferrari on the chaparral body. And the 3 bar has a white line, as what they call those individual 3 lines are what they call the bars. So this 3 bar has a white one on the bottom, and the 2 bar, which is this one, has silver on the bottom. So that's why they call it a 2 bar and a 3 bar. They're referring to those 3 stripes or the 2 stripes, and this one has 3 white ones. This one has 2 white ones. Other than that, identical. Same stickers on the side, same on the front, same everything, except what they call 3 bar and 2 bar. So, and there's, like I said, 4 versions of this car that they kind of played with those bars. All right, back up to 8. Thank you to whoever joined back in. We're a little over halfway through the first case. And I do have it recording and the live chat recording. So if you're not here live and you're watching later, please leave a comment. Mention if you had one of these cars. Mention if you had the other versions, the ones that I don't. Like I said, I have a pretty extensive collection, but I call it a shotgun because it's splattered everywhere. I don't just do Indy cars. I just don't do stock cars. I just don't do one of them. I do all of them. Got something wet I shouldn't have got wet. Oh well. Sorry. Oh, I know that's going to make it click. My apologies. All right, so we'll get back over here. Let's work our way this way, since that way I can let that show out. So this is a new old stock I got from Pro Tinker Toys. This is the Michael Andretti Craco car stereos. If you guys remember those, I don't even think they make them anymore. But like I said, new old stock I got off Brian Ryan at Pro Tinker. And this is the Michael Andretti, Mario's son, number 18. And it's on a 440 X2 chassis. And here we have the vaunted Domino's Pizza, number 30. This one came in a twin pack and individual. You could buy this one several different ways. This one's not new. I bought it used. You can see there's a little tampo where it says Domino's, but all in all, good looking car. Most of them have a wing broken off somewhere, you know, or something missing, but this is a good version of this one. Yeah, see, Aaron, that's the twin pack I was talking about, the Al Unter Jr. and the Michael Andretti. Yeah, the Al Unter was the Valvoline car. Yep. Back in the good old days, when, you know, they'd make 5 or 6 versions of different cars. And these two are the same, but one's a cost cutter and one's not. So I'll just do them both at the same time. It's going to be pretty obvious to see which one's the cost cutter and which one isn't, but I'll go over it just in case you can't tell. This one is the one that they released in mass production. This is the one that they put in sets. They were both put in sets, but depending on which set you got, depending on which version of this car you got. And as you can see, I mean, when I say plain Jane, they only put the number 8 and champion spark plugs on this bad boy. That's it. There's nothing else. Now this one has TYCO on it. And you, like I said, that just confuses me to no end. If it's a cost cutter car and you're not wanting to, you know, I guess they save money on the tampo too, you know, not having to pay them extra to put the TYCO on there. I guess, okay. So even if they weren't paying themselves royalty, I can understand why they did that. So these are both new old stock cars. Someone took the liberty to match the red and the black with the tires on the front on that one. That's not the way they came. They came like that, but I thought it was a cool addition, so I just left it like that. But all right, we're up to 9. Thank you to whoever joined in. I appreciate you spending a little time Sunday evening before we all go back into work. Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend while I'm rolling this stuff up. Hope it was better than mine. It's not like I had a bad weekend, but moving is never fun. So I've never had a good day moving unless it wasn't moving. That's the best day. And we finally got to them, my Wildcats. This is a Wildcat body, and you can tell how they got the, this is the Budweiser number 3. See how much higher up they got the wing? It's got the same nose, kind of like the Chaparral, but it's a little thinner. And so, yeah, these were called the Wildcats. That's a new old stock Budweiser on a new old stock chassis. Fortunate to get it. This one, once again, you can find it in a twin pack, I think, with the Miller. Or not the Miller, but STP, which is the next one there. I think you could get that in a twin pack. I don't have one of those. Those routinely, those twin packs for these bad boys usually bring over $100 plus because they are so rare. And the way I look at it, I can buy 1 or 2 of the others and still add to my collection versus buying just 1. So, you know, like I said, quality and quantity. So I weigh the options. There's several different versions of this STP. There's a dark blue, lighter blue, this baby blue. This is also on the Wildcat chassis. The darker blue one, if you were wondering, is the rarest of them all. That's the one that is going to bring the big bucks. But like I said, unbroken, brand new. We've all seen this car. Almost spent a long time on it. 440 chassis. Bobby Rahal. Yep, you nailed it, Aaron. Yeah, see, this is like getting to sit down and talk history of racing as we go through and see these cars. Like I said, getting to see, you know, a lot of these drivers aren't around anymore, and obviously they're not racing anymore. Earlier, if you remember, if you were with me when I went through my stock cars, I showed you the free TYCO car that they would give you if you just mailed in the coupon and paid the $2 or $3 shipping. This is the F1 Wildcat TYCO #1, gold and black. And just like the number 25, this one's a new, not like the number 25 I had. It's not a new old stock. This one is a new old stock. And you can still find these new old stock every so often. They pop up on a 440 X2 chassis. But most of the time you're going to find them used. And we're going to see this car again because I do have it as a runner. So just amazing to me they used to give you a car for buying a car. Nowadays, no, not so much. Don't even get a discount for buying a car. All right. And this one's a little harder to find. This is the Lotus Esprit. And you can tell these kind of like the Elfs that I was talking about with the AFX that have a reputation of being really brittle and breaking. These Lotuses have that same reputation with their front wing because it was unique. They made it really small up front for whatever reason. And then the tampo that they put on that gold, it was real easy to wipe off. So it says Lotus up there on the wing. And you can kind of tell where it says Lotus on the sides. But this one isn't a very good rendition of this, but this is a harder, rare car to find that's not been broken or missing a head or the winglets there for the intake on either side. Those break off. Obviously, we didn't know about the wings, but there's like 5 different things on this car that can break off. And then you add in the tampo wearing off, and it's really hard to find one of these in really good shape. But it is rare. So if you do find one and you can afford it and you have the money, you hit the trifecta, buy it. Right place, right time, cash. All righty. And here we have a new old stock version of the #4 Pennzoil. This is on the Chaparral body. A lot of different versions of that. I got the #5 Chaparral. It looks a little different. This #5 is the harder one to find if you're looking to find these. You'll find that #4 pretty much everywhere. This #5 is a little tougher to get. This is another new old stock. It's on a 440 X2 chassis. So yeah, you'll find those #4s, but if you're really wanting to collect, then you'll want to get them both, and you'll want to try to get that #5. This is the harder one to find of the two. Yeah, Ryburn. I'm sorry, just now saw it. I kind of keep going, and then I kind of look over if I see something flicker there, so I apologize. Yeah, if you want to poke the bear first thing Monday morning, that would be the way to do it. Be like, hey, Scott, mentioned on his live feed that back in the day, TYCO used to give away a car if you bought one, and all you had to do was pay shipping. When are you going to do that? Yeah, he'll pop a gasket. So I mentioned that you'd see one of the other cars. Okay, so I showed you the Mata Ferrari Marlboro that I had over there that was one of the runners. And this was my buddy's that that lived with me, the runner, and he just donated it to my collection. And that's his #5 that we used to race against. So I used to race my Marlboro against the hair, and then I got another one that I used to race against him that we'll see down there. So that's why I got the new old stock #5. Obviously, because it's rare, and that's why I put this one in my case with this is because, like I said, childhood memories. Brings back of us sitting down there on the carpet, and obviously it suffered a harder crash than my Marlboro did at some point in time, that Mata. And thankfully it was this one and not the Mata, because the Mata is the more valuable car. And then I already popped this one out to kind of show you guys the differences on what I was talking about on Chaparral and F1 and those others up there where I showed you that were the Wildcat with the raised up wing. Well, here's the number 5 on the F1 body, as they called it. Pennzoil. It's used. You can see the tampo's kind of wearing where the 5 is. This one's a harder one to find too, just because of this body style particularly. But still a good looking version of it. It's hard to find them at all. And then if you do find them, making sure that they have all their wings and everything intact. All right, we're up to 11. Thank all 11 of you that are here, joined in. All right, here we got another rare one. This is the Honda Lotus Elf on a Chaparral body. I believe this is a 2 rating. This is on a new old stock body, as you can see. Good looking car. Kind of hard to find with, even if you find it used, just make sure it's got as much of the tampo there as you can, because you can see anytime those cars that can be grabbed right there that have tampo, that's where they're just going to get worn. And then obviously the wings snapping off, that's a no-brainer. And then up here you can see, I'm going to look. Yeah, it's kind of showing up on the camera, on the TV. That silver roll bar, that'll break off up there, because that's actually, it stretches across that back area back there, and it can get broken off. So good looking car. Like I said, it's just rare to find this one out there, let alone be fortunate enough to get one that was new old stock and on its original. Gotta love those overseas vendors that find stuff in warehouses. And if you remember this Renault, I had the one that didn't have the wing as one of my runners. This one actually has both the mirrors, the roll bar, the wing. It's in close to new shape as you can get it. It's not new, but it's as close as you can get. And there's like I think 4 different versions of this car. The most rare is the black wing. So if you get the black wing and the black, that's the rare one on this Renault Lotus. But if you notice here on the back, I'll show that real quick. That's the only rear wing that was done like that, and that's actually flexible. I don't know what the hell they made that out of, but that's why that wing in the back doesn't like to stay there, and that's why it flies off so easy whenever you crash. That's probably why people lost it. Never bothered replacing it. Gotta be careful not to smash my little mirrors. Okay, here's the other car that me and my buddy had, and this was my Miller car. As you can see, like I said, tampo's kind of worn because that's where I grabbed it. It had the same fate as his Pennzoil car, lost a wing on the front. Has the white shoes on it, just like my Mata did, just like his Pennzoil did. But these, actual runner. If I'd have known this car was going to be worth so much money now, it probably would have never even gotten cracked open. But yeah, this car, even in this shape, missing that wing, will pull down 40 or 50 bucks. It's crazy how people want this old Miller car. And then this next one was a shout out for Robert Fish. He was wanting to see some of the Millers. So there was one of the Millers. That was actual one of my childhood second go around into slot cars. And here is the other version of that Miller car in the F1 body style, and this one's a new old stock. This is the black one, number 28. Good looking car. This one's hard to find. I won't lie to you. Believe it or not, the gold one's the rarer of the two, but you couldn't tell by how little you ever see this one for sale. Good looking car, rare. And to be able to get it brand new old stock, like I said, one of those Taiwan vendors overseas that just happened to buy it. And one of those $50 is what I paid for this car. And literally the same week I bought this car for $50, they sold a used one that had some worn tampo on it for $80. So I was already $30 ahead of the game. So I know this is a $100 plus car, being new old stock now if I wanted to slap it on eBay. So good looking car. Wish they would have made more of them or would make them again. right, guys. So that will conclude most, and I said most because there's some in my runners, in my house cars and the runners, F1 Indy type cars, but as far as TYCO. But that's the end of the TYCO bulk F1 and Indy type cars. So we made it through the first 48. This next two are going to be kind of cool for me and cool for you guys if you're interested, and kind of see what kind of cars that I have that I race and personally, and what kind of cars that are going to be hitting the track whenever I get relocated and my track gets running. So you'll be seeing some of these with me racing them. There we go. Yeah, I don't blame him, Ryburn. Yeah, he killed it. Sorry, I got too close to the camera again. Here, let me move this back a little bit and I'll sit back. I heard it clicking, so I know it clicked through there. I apologize. Yeah, no, he cleaned house on Dan's thing. If I ever do something like that, like I kind of like I did on my drawing thing when I had my giveaways. I said if you win one, you can't win two on the same drawing. That way, kind of spread it out. And I'm glad that Robert decided to do that, because even he knew that would have been kind of greedy. Yeah. Yeah, Clint, I'm right there with you. Sorry, I keep taking a drink, guys. Long story short, the AC in my wonderful rental unit died last week, and I've been without AC. And today, with the heat index, it hit 99 degrees where I live, and I've been moving during this. And so obviously, even though I got the windows open and fans going, fans here, it's still 80 something degrees inside my house right now. So it's not comfortable. And since me and the landlord people are in a squabble, they don't want to fix nothing. So let me suffer. I'm just going to wrap this up and just kind of hold it up. This is a new old stock body. And I told you I'd mention, if you remember in my stock car collection, I told you that was the Tommy version. And this is the Mega G version. And how you can tell them apart is the shade of blue is lighter on the turbo version of this car. This High's construction is lighter, and this one's just a little bit shade darker. So we'll put a new Mega G chassis underneath that bad boy, and we'll have a new old stock Mega G. And that's just one of those TYCO hopped up chassis that I bought that's maxed out, that I just haven't put underneath a body yet. Got the little bicycle wheels. It's supposedly the fastest TYCOs on eBay. Like I said, we'll put that to the test. I'm not even going to bother wiping this. Here, can you read it? Yep. Okay, so I mentioned that Pardon Creek takes Viper chassis, and they have their Sportsman series, and instead of the little bicycle wheels, he puts the those Delron front rim that are wide. Give them more an authentic look, you know what I'm saying, instead of the bicycle. And these are the chassis, and there's a brand new one right there. These are the chassis that are going to be underneath these Mustangs, the IROC Mustangs, when I get to them. So I'm not even going to bother wrapping that one up. That's how he shipped it to me. So I'm guessing it'll be just fine like that. And then if you remember, I think on the tour of Scott's House of H.O. Racing, I kind of highlighted that this Benetton here, this new sealed in the bag. This is the Scale Electrics H.O. size. And I bought two of these bodies, and this is the chassis I'm going to use with it, a Mega G Plus. If you put two-sided tape on either side of this body, it clips in and works perfectly. Looks great. Plus, it's a Ford, and I'm a Ford guy, so I built one and sold it, and it paid for both the bodies and both the chassis. Like I said, just unusual. You can still see these cars on eBay every so often, but I've not seen any more of the new old stock bodies. And they're just a little bit bigger than, they remind me of like the Hot Wheels versions of the stock cars and stuff. They're a little bit bigger. Not much. Like I said, that H.O scale gets played with a lot. Stick that one back in there. I know they're all together. So I know he's designated for that. Yeah, last night at midnight, I was literally sitting in front of the TV watching the Bristol night race and cutting sections of bubble wrap. All right, I mentioned that I had a couple of these Hornets that were runners. And this is the Mega G Plus version of the Hornet. And this is the earlier version that has the shell on it. And this one, I really shouldn't even be racing, but I have one new in the baggie. And this is one of those where you're overriding your brain cell, because this one's perfect. It's not been broken in any way. Still has the top, still has everything. I could sell and make $100 on this car easy. But it was purchased to be a runner, and that's what it's for. I just haven't updated the chassis with the bicycle wheels on it and stuff. This is one that I just literally started tuning on when I decided to do the track. So that's why it got put in the runner's bin, and the most it's had done to it is I put a set of Viper M1 tires on it. We'll see. Well, here, before I do it, I remember I told you that there were two different versions of this car. This was the one that I wish I would have never raced after I found out, but it's also on a Mega G Plus chassis. But as you can see, I'm missing the roll bar off this one now, but here's the big difference. Remember I told you the later versions wouldn't have the shell on it? Well, there you go. So they're identical cars, except for right there on the wing, that shell emblem, logo, whatever. And I've got the wing and I've got the roll bar right there. But this one's been hopped up. It's got level 42 magnets in it. It's got low profile. I believe these are probably 430s. And I've got a ring gear and pinion in it from Hardin Creek, and then the Viper front end on it. And so this was one of my faster cars. I'm going to put him back there, and we'll wrap up this Hornet, and then we'll get to my other Viper. Like I said, I got if you remember from the AFX Indy F1 cars, I mentioned that I had one of these that was new old stock, and then I had one of them that I put on a Viper chassis. Well, there it is. There's the top dog. There's my Viper runner. And you can see the little, make sure it comes out, but got the little Viper logo in the chassis in the back. Good looking car, easy to see going around the track flying. Yeah, there you go. Yep, you can see it. I just like I said, there's like a 3 to 5 second delay between what I'm doing and what actually shows to you guys and comes out on the TV. But anyway, so it's real easy to see. As you can see, I've been very lucky so far. It's been ran several times, and it's been crashed several times, but just nothing's, knock on wood, nothing's broken off yet. You know, I know it's not if, it's, you know, it's when. When's it going to happen? Those things fly, and so I suggest if you get a Viper to get one that's got a brighter color, so it's easier to see going around the track. I have several runners depending on, like I said, these can motors, they're not consistent. Sometimes they run good, sometimes they run bad, and then they just die. So I have several versions of what we run in our Indy class that are hopped up. Once again, level 42 magnets. This has super tires on it and little bicycle front. I got a factory ring gear and pinion on this one, but that's the full tilt, which was the, if you remember when I went through these, the copy of the Red Bull after they lost the licensing on the original 8 Mega G F1 cars. And you can tell this is the Mega G Plus version by the small front wing. See how it doesn't spread all the way across from tire to tire. But one of my runners, fast car. You can see I try to keep the parts that come off the cars with the cars. And in that case, you saw that the row bar was broken off, but there's the piece. I found it and I keep it so that I can glue it on at a later date. But it's a runner, so you know it's going to happen. And I got lucky because most times you don't even, in fact, I'm going to wrap that up with it just so I make sure I don't lose it. Because those cases aren't sealed on the sides, so it could flop out whenever I pack it in the box and it'd be lost forever. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the cars we've already seen. This is one I was working on getting to be a runner. That's why it's not been modified anyway, except for tires. That's the only thing listed right there is the modification is tires. And we've seen this one before. This is the Mega G Plus version, small wing. We've seen it like, this would be like the 4th time we've seen this same type of car, either the Mega G or the Mega G Plus version. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. We've already seen it, but it is a runner. These are my personal runners. And we've already seen this one too. Once again, this is the Pro 1 number 1. Came in the twin pack that came with the Flow, which is right below it right there. So those two came in a twin pack. I had that twin pack, and that's why they're both runners. So this one's not been modified yet, other than tires. That's how I can tell what's been modified, by looking at the pile of parts. So all it's got is tires on it right now. But at any point in time, I could magnet it, gear it, and put a little skinny front end on it. Like I said, these are all my personal runners. These aren't house cars. These are Scott's cars. I mean, if someone wanted to race, I'd let them. No biggie. We've seen this one before too. Came in the Super International set. This is the Mega G Plus version. And once again, it's perfect in every way. Not been damaged yet because I haven't had much chance to play with it other than tires. And when I put tires on them, and I know it generally, based on hop ups, how much faster I'm going to be able to make these cars, because that can motor is the big limiting factor. And if it hits a certain time, and I know like the front end's worth a tenth, I know tires can be worth a tenth, I know magnets worth a tenth, and if that puts me in the ballpark for the speed that the other guys that are racing are, then I keep it as a future racer, but a current runner. So there's a few of them up there like that are just waiting for the modifications, because they passed the first round of Scott's criteria to be a racer. Because like I said, those can motors vary so much that you don't know if you're going to get a fast one or a slow one, and there ain't no sense in putting all the parts on them. Like I've got the front wing, and this is the one that I told you that story about the guy that just came over for the first time to race, and he just kept smashing and breaking the car. This is what he broke. And several people had raced this car before he got a hold of it that night. And this happened on the 6th time he smashed it out on the wall, and it caught the front wing. Anyway, that's the Flow Mega G Plus. Got level 42s, Viper M1 tires, bicycle front end. Pretty quick car. It was perfect, but like I said, it was a runner, so it is what it is. This one has all the parts I put it in a little baggie. I don't know if you guys have seen these on eBay lately, but this is just a Wizard chassis, which is based on the Super G Plus chassis. And you can get this little car delivered to your door usually for less than 40 bucks. And that's a steal because these things fly. I mean, fly. These things are almost as, they're right there with my Viper. I'll put it that way. I mean, like I said, it's on the Super G Plus chassis. So if you're looking for just all out speed and you don't really care, but you got a hard body class and you really don't care what the body looks like, you're all just about going fast and winning. I would honestly try to get one of these and work on it. They got several different colors. I just got white because that gave me the opportunity to change stuff if I wanted to, you know, put stickers on it, paint it, whatever. But I've seen green and pink and blue and red and yellow. And I mean, they got a lot of different colors. But I think cheapest I've seen them is like just under $39, which is a great deal considering it comes with the body and the whole 9 yards. And like I said, that's one of the Wizards. And they fly, like I said. They haul the mail. So it's in the runner case. And here we have another Flow that I just bought and stuck in there. And I got it cheap because it was missing the rear wing. Well, if you remember, mine's missing the front wing back there. So all I got to do is put the front, put the rear wing on from that other one, and I got a perfect rendition of that Flow again for a house runner. It's barely been used. I'm guessing the time that they ran it around the tracks, the time they lost that wing, but I don't care. So once he smashed that one up, I've made it a mission to try to find another one. So there it is. Hadn't been modified in any way. This has still got the hard rubber, whatever tires they put on them. All right. And here's that Hornet again without the shell. I'll just show it real quick and wrap it. We already kind of talked about it. You know, whenever that used to be my fastest car, and it was one of the ones that the original chassis, the Mega G Plus motor died, and I was so disappointed because this thing was so much faster with the original chassis than any of the other cars that my buddies could get. I wouldn't race it against them unless I was having a bad night and wrecking, and then I'd pull out the Hornet to change my luck, so to speak. All right, so here's one dead. These piece of shit POS can motors. How do I know it's dead? Because, well, I stripped the front end back off of it and took my parts back out of it because it was all modified on this body and it died. So I keep it there for the spare parts, and I'm going to keep that. And if that vendor that was selling those Mega G Plus can motors sells them again, I'm going to buy another set. I'm going to buy the 3 of those, and I'm going to try them out with this one. So that's why I still keep it in the box, because it's not dead yet. It's just, it's on temporary life support. If you remember me saying I bought 6 of those twin packs that come with these, and that's just so we could get cars, because most of the time only one of the 2 that came in that pack would be quick enough to run with the cars that we already had. So this one's another one of my runners. All I did was put tires on it. That's the only modification I can see. There's the factory tires. So that was the other car in the 2-pack. Oh no, I kind of like that one. I think it's kind of good looking, the number 16. Once again, going with that hardcore logo there. All right, If you remember me earlier, if you were with me earlier, you saw the set version of this car that I own the set of. And this is one of my hopped up. I mentioned these Super Racing Turbo and the turbo chassis were really popular. Well, this one's hopped up and it flies. Got tires, wheels, magnets. You know, it's a runner. Ring gear and pinion on the Super Racing Turbo chassis. A lot less work on these than there is on like a Super G Plus because the type of motor that it is. A replaceable box motor, I guess, is a better term for it. And here we have another new old stock 440 Labatt's Cannon number 5. That's eventually going to be a seller. Just hadn't made it pictures and eBay yet. We've already seen it, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. On a 440 chassis, which is the original chassis for that car, not the X2. Although there were versions that came with it, but the original version that came out was with the original 440 chassis. And I told you I had one of these Target cars as a runner. Here it is. It's almost perfect, but there's a little itty bitty smear right there in the E of the Target. Other than that, it's perfect, but it's a runner. I'm going to hop it up and try to run it in our Indy class. See if I can't smash those Mega G Pluses. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. This is the new old stock, one of those cost cutter cars. Brand new. Once again, it'll be a seller after I get moved. And I mentioned I got 3 more of those number 12 3 bars that I'm going to be selling soon. They've been bringing some pretty decent money. Nope, we're back down to 9. Like I said, it bounces in and out. Thanks to all 9 people that did give me the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Haven't lost any thumbs up. That's a good sign. Oh, got 10. Somebody came back. Thank you for joining back, or thank you for joining in for the first time. We're going through, these are Scotch runners, or like these happen to be, this is the a seller for the future. Haven't gone through them yet. I go through all my cars, make sure they run, clean them real good before I sell them to anybody. And I mentioned I had one of these as a runner. Here it is. You can see I got a different rear end assembly on it, and that uses the big rim with a low profile tire. Yeah, Cliff, Fish almost, well, he did have 2 wins. He was just kind enough to give it to the other gentleman that guessed the same number right after he did. I stuck a new 440 X2 chassis. It's got different rims on it. Like I said, those are low profile tires on fat rims, just to see if it made any difference. Haven't had a chance to run it yet. Yeah, Robert's a pretty lucky guy, man. He gets a lot of people. He wins a lot of stuff, and a lot of people give him stuff. All righty. These 2 came in a twin pack, so I'll get them out together. This is the Ford EcoBoost and the Chevrolet Monte Carlo number 13. Like I said, AFX Mega G Plus chassis. These 2 are a couple of what I call slower cars. So these are what I call my track cleaners. So after I wipe down my track, before we start racing, then I try to get the lanes warmed up, and I run certain cars that aren't fast around there. And this, I think I believe it or not, guys, I can hold this Chevy wide open. That's how slow that thing is. And I had it since it was brand new, and it's on a CAN motor. So like I said, you just never know with those things. They're slow or they're fast, or I don't know. I don't like them. I'd like them better if they were consistent and more reliable. I can't hold the Ford open wide open around the track, so, but I can hold that Chevy wide open, which I should not be able to do. And then I thought, just to bust it up, I'd have me a Chevy racer too, so I wouldn't be called partial. There's nothing done to this one yet. It's all bone stock. Haven't opened it up and haven't touched it. Just ran around the track a few times to know that it wasn't going to be a track cleaner. It was actually going to be a racer if I wanted to work on it. And the next two we're going to see are a couple of more off the 2-pack and off the Stalker Challenge, or whatever they call their race set. That's the Chevrolet. That's a good looking car. And it, like I said, it'll be one of my runners. It's just I got it and hadn't had a chance to do anything to it by the time I started working on my track. See, it's brand new. So I'll have me a couple of Chevy runners. On the Chevy, on the Mega G Plus in our stock car hard body class. And then Ford here, the EcoBoost, you can tell it's been hopped up to the max. I've got a different ring gear and pinion on it from Hardin Creek. I've got level 42 magnets. I've got Viper tires, and I've got a Viper front end on it. And I believe I even put silver springs in it for the pickup shoes from Viper. So this thing hauls the mail. It's a pretty fast. You can see how low I got her down. Doesn't hit the rails and still allows the front end to stay planted. So I mean, I'm about as low as I can get. Oh yeah, Aaron, I the quality control on those, like I said, they I don't know if you were on here when Dan was on here. He was saying he bought that Super International 4-lane race set, and 2 of his 4 cars didn't even run. I would be so pissed off if I spent that much money on a race set and half the cars didn't run. But I've had that happen to me too, where that little green wire that connects from the motor to the circuit board, that was completely not even soldered on. It was just loose. And I filed a warranty claim with AFX, and within a week, I filled it out. They emailed me right back same day saying, sorry, we've got a replacement chassis headed your way. Thank you for supporting AFX. So I have nothing but great things to say about AFX warranty department. Here's another one of our hardcore racers. See, core, hardcore. Yeah. Another Ford Fusion. Love these stock cars. It's going to be a future runner. Like I said, you can tell my future runners because they still have the factory front ends on them. When they're actual runners, they have the little bicycle front ends, because I know firsthand that picks up 1/10 of a second on my track. Well, it used to. It's probably going to pick up more now. The track's bigger, but it used to pick up 1/10. Got to move some of the parts out of the way on this one. This one isn't anything that was released by AFX, but this was off a guy off of eBay that did these bodies. And he says it's a Mustang, but I know what he did. He took a Fusion body and then stuck the Snap-on Keselowski, sticker package on it. But I don't care. Good looking car. And it's fast. You can tell I run it. I race it. It's got the bicycle front end on it. And he didn't come that way. And this one has red dot on it, which means this is a red dot on my class, or at my house, means that's the strongest magnet, which is a 52. So this one has level 52 magnets on it with a stock rear end and bicycle front end. And I don't keep putting parts on them if it's already competitive, I'd leave it where it's at, because like I said, I know firsthand I'm living on borrowed time with those can motors. So I try to be nice to them. Come in there. And this is the Dale Jarrett number 88 Lifelike Taurus. I bought him as for that kind of like that Davey Allison stock car, so that I could put a Viper chassis underneath it. So that's what's going to happen to this bad boy, and they just sit lower than the AFX stock cars, so the center of gravity, top heavy wise, is better. And I'm a Dale Jarrett fan. Like I said, this is when he ran for Robert Yates Racing. So I think it's really cool that they've come out with those clips that allow you to use all your favorite bodies, and with whatever, you know, Viper chassis you choose, or Bulldog chassis, or Hardin Creek, or whoever, Jag. All right, and I told you guys I raced my Ford GTs, played with them on the track. Nothing done to this one whatsoever except for tires. Get out there and running. There's just 2 or 3 of us here racing or whatever. I give everybody one of my Ford GTs, and we get out there and have some fun, because they're bone stock, haven't been hopped up in any way, shape, or form. Factory magnets. The only thing I do is put on tires. So these things, look how low those things are, guys. I mean, these things handle, and you can see, I mean, they're really low on that rail. Good looking cars. I like them. I can't wait to see those new vets. We're going to have a Ford GT and a vet racing before long, whenever I get the track up, because I'm going to get some of those vets to be runners for that very reason. So if a Chevy person comes over and wants to race against the Ford GTs, we can have a little American supercar shootout. And here's the number 7 Audi, the black and red version. They have a silver and red version, and then they have the set car version. I don't have that set, but this is another car that flies, but because it's black, you know, that it's kind of hard to see even with that red, because that's a dark red. But I just love those Audis. This is a an LMP car, and in case you don't know what that stands for, it's a Le Mans prototype. LMP, and those things are just badass, just badass. And I got another one down here I told you that I have as a runner. It's on, this is on the Mega G Plus chassis, in case you guys didn't know already. And the next 2 rows are my favorite car, hint hint. And these are all Auto World bodies on Hardin Creek Sportsman chassis Vipers. And those are those Delron front rims I was telling you about. And someone, and I'll do it when we get to the yellow ones, but I was saying how the different size bodies on how Auto Worlds are a little smaller than TYCO. And I'm going to point that out, even smaller than the AFX. But these are my IROC series. You know, I got the red, the white, the blue, and the yellow. And then I got these 2 as backups. And then I'm working on getting, I'll have an older Mustang IROC series with the other Mega G Pluses. So I'll have a Mega G Plus older version, and then I've got these Viper Hardin Creek Sportsman chassis Auto World bodied lowering clip. That's what the lowering clip does to those bodies. Helps them out immensely. And yeah, these Vipers kick ass. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but if I say I have a lot of money in this series, because I had to buy the damn cars brand new. So you figure I got these red ones you could get at the time for like $25. So I got a couple of them. $25 a pop for the car, and then it costs you like $40, $45 for the chassis. So you know, I've got $65, $70 in each one of those cars just to have that series. And then as you can, when we get to it, you'll see it's the chase version. And as we all know, that chase car costs more money, but I have a chase version of it too. So there's the white with the red stripes in case you guys hadn't seen those Auto World bodies before. These came in like their Cars and Coffee series, I believe it is. And I bought these before the track, or after it was tore down. So these have never been ran. These are brand spanking new. Here's the baby blue. I love this Grabber blue. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Good looking car. Love it. Yep, good stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because they're all the same thing. It's just a different color. And the whole idea is that Scott gets done with a little bit of this so he can go to bed before 1 o'clock and get up at 6. And I told you I'd wait till I got to the yellow one just to show you, but just to show you how much smaller the Auto Worlds are compared to the AFX. There you go. I mean, they're just a physically smaller bodied car. Obviously, it's two different yellows. There's a Mega G Boss. It could pull down some good money if I wanted to sell it, even though it's got the wrong rims on it. Should have chrome rims. But anyway, see how much bigger that body is and how much smaller the Auto World. So, yeah. The person that asked that question the other night, I hope you're able to see this video and get to look at that. And that's what I'm referring to about those Auto Worlds having, 3 different sizes. Their Thunder Jets are one size, and their Magna Traction or their X Traction are one size, and then their 4 gears another. And then this is on a Mega G Plus chassis, wrong tires and wheels. I got it because I wanted the body and the chassis, but this is going to be one of my IROC runners for the old body styles, and I'm going to put a Mega G Plus chassis underneath it. And then I've got another one of them that I'm going to hop up because we are going to have a street car hard body class, and I'm going to put a Viper chassis underneath it. So that's why I've got 2 of these yellow ones, one for the IROC series of older Mustangs and the other one for me to have personally as a racer. And routinely I see those pull down anywhere from 60 to $100 depending on the condition. And here's the chase version of those newer Mustangs. You can see it's kind of a pearl. This one cost me $40. So I've got almost $100 in this car by the time you add in the chassis. So that's why it's overflow. If something happens to one of the others, it's not one of the regular racers. So the next 2 here are backups for the IROC series. So if something happens to one car, we don't have to spend time repairing it. We just throw another car on there because they're all the same. And then there's the final version of that Mustang that I know of that Auto World made, that dark blue, that deep impact blue is what they call that. Good looking car. Once again, on the Viper Hardin Creek Sportsman chassis. If you remember the story I told you, Terry had called me on a Saturday, and that was the order for those 6 chassis and enough parts to rebuild 6 cars 3 times. And once again, this one's on a Mega G chassis with the wrong wheels. If you're looking for the one with the right wheels, it should have chrome wheels. And I've got a new one on the wall. Like I said, one of these 2 is going to be my runner, and the other one's going to be for that class that I'm making for the Mega Gs. And here's one of my TYCO stock car, Ted Musgrave. I like it just new old stock. Doesn't have the right colored wheels. Should be black if you're looking for it to be perfect. It's a NOS body. Came from one of the twin packs. But I bought the body separate than I bought the chassis. So that's why it's a runner for me personally. All American. Like the American flag theme. I do have a few lifelike, Rich. I had the Dale Jarrett right there, and I had the Davey Allison, and all of my NASCAR or all of my super trucks were they're going to have the Viper chassis underneath them are all lifelike. I don't run any lifelike chassis, but I like their bodies. Here's another one of my. This is one of my favorites. This is on a Mega G or yeah Mega G chassis, not a Mega G Plus. This is the Audi Test Car. This is actually one of my runners. You can tell it's been wrecked and crashed. That wing's been broken off and replaced and re-glued back on because it should have little winglets that completely shroud that thing back in there together. So yeah, you can see it's a runner. But once again, this is a very expensive car. I could sell this thing for an easy $80 right now as is, even though it's damaged. But that's, I bought it as a runner, and that's what I'm going to keep using it for. So it is what it is. And the reason, Rich, I don't race those lifelike is parts. I mean, between AFX parts and TYCO parts, uh, yeah, I bet I've got close to $1,000 in parts. It's insane because I went and spent just give you an example for those TYCO cars, the stock cars I was telling you guys I was going to build, those three that were the anniversary, the 30, the 40, and the 50 anniversary edition that they came out with. I went and bought everything silver that Wizard had that I could put on those. And yeah, it was just under $300 worth of silver that I bought. And if you guys remember, I said we bought there's 4 different versions of this Porsche. My buddies, we all picked one. They were on sale for $25 a pop. Now you can't touch them for less than what, $80 or more. So this is our Mega G class. We all have one of these. At first, it started out completely stock, and then um, we decided we'd allow upgrades to it. So that's where we're at now. I love to look at that car. It reminds me of a Crown Royal. I don't know why, but it just does. Good looking car. It's the Rothmans, I think is what they call it. Yeah. Like I said, I've shown some cars tonight. I've said that were runners that would make some people's, their stomachs churn. And if you remember, they are Plymouth Superbird drama. I told you I was going to have a runner, and here's my runner. You saw the other night, a few nights ago, I have one of these in the bubble, have the race set I'm looking at right there. And so here's my runner. And the one that I showed that was damaged, I made a really good deal on one of my subscribers, and it's on his way to his house now. He should have it Tuesday, Wednesday of this week. Sorry. So I got to keep asking which version he wanted because I told him I'd sell him either one. So now I don't have any of them for sale anymore. This is my runner. Like I said, I'm gonna put a hopped up TYCO chassis underneath it, and we're gonna see this bad boy go around the track. And we did it. We've done 96 cars in under 2 hours. So I am cooking with Crisco. And now we're to what I would call my favorite case of all, and that is my childhood case. And if any of you have missed it or didn't catch it, all of these cars up into here down, so everything from there up and over, were all cars that I owned in my childhood before I got into high school and girls and basketball. That's how long I kept racing. And it's ironic that Pro Tinker had some of these cars that I'm getting ready to show you guys on auction the other night, because I owned them from my childhood. I have a lighted chassis on a Magna Traction Monza, except I've added my own personal little stickers to it. And I'm not going to take any of those off and fix them or clean them or nothing. I'm leaving them just the way they were whenever I was a kid. I loved that car. I loved the way that car looked. I mean, Monzas in real life were pieces of shit, but I didn't care. I just loved that car. Yes, Mike, I agree completely. That's why I can't smile. I can't help but look at this case and smile and be kind of sad, but mostly smile because, like I said, guys, these are just little time capsules. And every time I look at my old cars, I can remember the first time I got this car and I was flying around the track and I was like, oh my God, this thing's fast. And I put the white shoes on it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and then I liked it so much, start putting stickers on it and stuff. And if you look, it's got the right wheels and turbines and everything. I mean, this is all OG. This is before I was smart enough to start really hopping up stuff. Just tires is all my cars ever got back in the day. Thank you for joining, by the way, Mike. And hey, we're up to 13. That's the most all night. Thank you, all 13 of you. I appreciate it. If you don't mind, if you haven't already, I'll pull a Brian and be sure and hit the thumbs up. Here's my Bree Datsun, and this was the one and only Magnasonic chassis car that I bought. So this was originally a Magnasonic chassis, and I took out the little sound box because if you've ever had one of those, that little it gets annoying as hell if you're racing them. And this was a fairly fast car. I loved the way that car looked going around the track, so I raced it a lot, and I hated that sound, so I just traded it with a clip from one that didn't have that Magnasonic box and put it on there. But you can see this one's perfect. No bent posts, no nothing. I could get some serious money for this thing. All OG. Yep. Love that car. Well, hell, I loved all these cars. The number 7 was one of my favorites coming up here. I mean, like I said, I loved them all. We just recently, I think we saw the 6. I'm missing the glass on this one. It should be blue glass. It's the number 7. You can see where it's been damaged. Someone stepped on it or got crushed on something. But like I said, this will be one of the ones I'm trying to find a replacement for my childhood stuff. But just to show everybody, I own both versions. And you can see we're started turning yellow a little bit. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the TV, but yeah, that white's starting to turn yellow a little bit, but that's okay. Like I said, it's just the way it was the last time it was raced whenever it got put away in the box. And the next one, this is the one I believe they just got through auctioning off at Pro Tinkers. The number 6. This, I believe they called them the bicentennial versions. I'm not for sure, but the Camaro and the 6 and the 7 Corvette, and you can see the post piece broke off there, and you can see where it's kind of bent there. Like I said, these are all runner racers. I mean, I own these from back in the day. These cars are every bit of 40 plus years old, and were used by a little junior Scott that had no idea that he would be buying and selling these cars 40 years later and be back into what he was doing when he was a kid. And here's one of our vaunted petty replacement cars that came in one of my track sets that I painted all white. You can see it's damaged. You can see where Scott added his own personal decals on it. You know, I could strip it down and I could try to find it out. But like I said, that's how it was whenever I put it away for the last time back in the 80s. And so that's the way I intend on leaving them. But this is obviously when I started deciding to modify and paint. And if you remember, I mentioned about that blue, the blue versions of the AFX cars and how they're fragile. Well, this is actually a blue Javelin that I painted purple, and it's got the glass in there. There it is. But I painted it purple, and you can see it's got a little bit of a bend of a post there, but I'll bet up money I could strip that thing down and put some new tires and wheels on it because it still runs, and I could get some pretty good cash out of it because it's complete, and it's one of those blue ones that's not broken. See those little things back there, the glass supports usually break right there and right there, and then obviously your post on those cars. So I'm guessing that my tester's purple paint has helped keep that body alive, would be my guess. And we all remember the little truck that I showed, the butterscotch version of. Well, believe it or not, that used to be the lemon yellow version that I painted red. And as you can see, once again, put stickers all over it, hopped it up, made it look special. But you can see I got creative. I actually put stripes on it, and I painted the back bumper. You know, I was starting to get detailed with it. AJ's sticker on it. Yeah, like I said, I can't help but look at this and smile. And yeah, used to think that shit was cool. So if I wouldn't have fucked this one all up, pardon my French, it would be worth a lot of money. At least $50, because I think that's what that one at Pro Tinker sold for. Here's another one of those petty cars that's it was blue, and you can see where the wing got broke off of that bad boy. And then here you can see where I took some automotive Bondo and I was trying to stretch that nose farther down. And little did I know how much heavier that Bondo made it. So it didn't want to get really good traction. You know, when you're a kid, you don't know these things. And I thought I'd made a badass looking car. Looking at it now, it's like, holy shit, what were you thinking? But I think I did that when I was like in the 4th or 5th grade. So, you know, it's been a while. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, see, I told you it's on the blue chassis, or on the blue body. I'm sorry, see underneath. Even got the made in Singapore sticker up there in the nose. And here I've got a couple of these. I think these are Ferrari 512s that I painted. There's the first one. Painted it blue. And it's a lighted, non-lighted chassis version. Sorry. Doesn't have the spot for lights. And that one should be red, obviously. You can see in there. Before, like I said, the tester's paint. What I think is funny about this is a Ferrari, and I got Porsche and Ferrari stickers on it. So obviously, Junior Scott in the 4th and 5th grade did not understand the differences of those emblems. Here we have a Porsche. I believe this was a lighted chassis before it got broke out on one side. But these are fast if you want a hard body runner. As a little bit of information, like I said, these are kind of common. You can see these routinely on eBay and Etsy. Remember that L&M car? There was a version of it that the wing broke off that I painted black and put stripes on. Got little Auto World stickers up there. I don't know. My version of the Shadow, I guess. I'd like to tell you what I was thinking when I painted all these cars, but you know, like I said, I was in the 4th and the 5th grade. I do remember that much. Beyond that, I couldn't tell you. Other than obviously I thought I was trying to make them look better than what I thought they already looked. Here's another one of those Aqua Ferrari 512s bodies. I really should strip this one down because it'll be worth some money, but I didn't. I won't. Number 12, I painted it silver and put once again Ferrari Auto World stickers on it. No Porsche this time, so at least I left it Ferrari. And I mean, look at that. You know, I just got through showing that Viper stick, and this Magna Traction car won't even try. Oh, how technology has helped us all. All right, and this was a Christmas present that I hated, but I like it now just because of its uniqueness. When you're a kid and you wanted race cars, and Santa brings you the Peace Tank guy. Don't know if a lot of you knew he did that. The turret swivels on these, and his little head pops up. Obviously, I raced him. I at the hobby shop, I bought some tires for him, but obviously he doesn't handle all that well. He's kind of heavy and he flops over, but you can still find these on eBay. Kind of cool. Like I said, at the time I hated it. Now that I've got, you know, now that I'm older, I'm glad that someone got it for me, to be quite honest. Even though I could still buy it, it's the whole idea that one of those fun novelty cars, so to speak. And here's the vaunted Ford Escort that I mentioned is my favorite set car. That was one of my favorite cars ever on the G Plus chassis. You can tell this one's lived a better life. It's missing its chrome bumper, but it still has that little stanchion on the back that I mentioned, that little dot back there that the others that don't have chrome bumpers usually get broke off. You can see this one got stepped on or crushed or something along the way. It's got a bent post. I could try to straighten it, but it'd break it. You can see little fragments of it there. Still got the original lipped tires that it came with. I've still got the front balance on it. Like I said, this was my favorite car growing up, mainly because it hauled ass, and it was probably my fastest car. And so anytime somebody would come over and race, this was the car that I'd race against them to make sure that I had the best chance of winning. And this one's in so many pieces, but I told you guys I owned an original, and I can tell you firsthand how fragile these bodies are. I'm just putting all the pieces. So there's what's left. There's the gurney flap. This is what's left of my 6-wing elf, and it just literally just starts. I mean, these pieces literally just broke off, not from racing, just from storage. Whenever I was younger, keeping them in the slot car box, but that was one that was given to me as a Christmas present, and I loved that car. But it wasn't as fast as my Escort, believe it or not, even though it was lower. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But so now you know why whenever I replaced this one with the one that I had and I broke that wheel off, I was so disheartened. Still pisses me off that I did that, because that was literally a relive your childhood car that was perfect, and I screwed him up. Yeah, these are there's the two pieces of the back wing. Say elf. I got one of the two missing front tire rims, and there's the little gurney flap that goes in said wing. So that's how brittle those bodies are. Didn't look like that when it was put in there, because none of that stuff was ever broken off when I raced it, believe it or not. It got broken off in storage. And here's a couple of little motorcycles that I used to have. I used to love racing these things. You can still, I'm going to buy me some shoes, and these still run, and you can buy tires for them. And anyway, I'm going to get these bad boys out on the track one last time since I found replacement shoes. I'm going to buy the shoes for them. That was my big concern, was tires and shoes. The tires are those little split skinnies. And I've actually found new old stock tires, and I found new old stock rims or tires and shoes. So now I'm not worried about running these around on my track, just to relive my childhood and watch them go around. You would think, well, these things are just way too fast for their top heaviness. You can see they just want to flop over sitting there. So these little motorcycles bring some money. The Harley Davidson motorcycle brings the most money, those and those little police motorcycles, but they're still pretty cool. Looks like character. Jace, yeah. Rally, yeah, the rally score. Yep. Sorry, like I said, I try to keep from going this way to read the comments, because I know when I noticed that every time I did that, it started doing that click, 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 click thing. And these two are the very same, except the customization that I gave them whenever I was younger. I had an uncle that had a Trans Am, and he bought me one for Christmas, and it just so happened that my parents bought me one the very same time. Santa Claus. So I got two of these lighted on HP7 chassis, or one on an HP7 chassis, one on an HP2 chassis that's lighted, Trans Am's chrome. And so I put my stickers on them, number 8 and number 9. And there we go. Didn't make any difference when they were running around the track, because you still couldn't tell them apart, even though they were different numbers. But both those cars hauled ass. The HP2 actually, I think, ran better than the 7. And the 7 was supposed to haul more ass than the 2. And here's another Scott Custom. I can't remember exactly. I know it's on a white Nomad body just by looking at the bottom, but I can't remember honestly what the colors were on this. But I do know that this scoop is supposed to be facing forward, but I unclipped it and put it back the other way, and then I painted it obviously black and a little orange, and then put shoes on it. It's on a curb hugger chassis. I thought it looked badass. I think it probably would have looked more badass if I just would have left it alone, but had all that new paint I had to try out. And I think this is the like a 23 Vic is what they call this one. I'm not mistaken. This car hauled ass. It was yeah, on a curb hugger chassis. I don't know if it was because the way there's very little ass in or what, but even if this thing swung out, it you could see the shoe still connected to the track, and it would haul ass. I love this car. Now it brings some pretty good money. There's a couple of versions of this Vicky. I customized mine a little bit. I put a little bit of screen back there. That's not factory, but everything else is, except for the white shoes. It's obviously needing a front wheel, but you know, thankfully I didn't go sticker or paint crazy on that one. And the next one is one that I was actually a childhood car. Remember when I had my Blue Max out, I told you that I had one and I didn't like it because it was chrome, and I painted it blue because it was the Blue Max. Well, there it is in all of its glory. My version of the Blue Max whenever I was a kid. Curve hugger chassis. Like I said, these are all cars from my youth. I was in the 4th grade before I got my first slot car track, and so all these cars came between 4th grade and high school, freshman. And then I showed off my resin body gremlin that I was able to purchase because I had this version and I wanted the sister car because there's only 2 of these, what they call modified gremlins, and I wanted them both. And this car hauled ass. I love this car too. Short little stubby ass end, and on that curve hugger chassis, for whatever reason, it'd slide out and it'd still allow those shoes to touch. See, look how far out of whack that is, and it would still let them touch, and it'd keep right on rolling. So I'm still going to try to get that number 5 sister car so that I can run that resin body out on the track. And this is the Ford Pinto Gotcha funny car, and it's in pretty sad shape, but it's on a TYCO Pro button. That's what those are called, the button series. But I got the Pinto version, and in case you guys didn't know, yeah, there's supposed to be a driver's head in there. Hey, yeah, there it is. Got the little bar so that it would you could display it and pop it up like that, so you could sit on your shelf like a real funny car. Pretty cool stuff. These things, if they're in real good shape, bring some good money. I used to race them a lot. I used to make a drag strip. That's why a lot of the tampos worn off, because obviously that's, like I said, that's where you grab them. This was the gotcha, or the catch me. The Pinto was the catch me, and the Vega was the gotcha. So they appealed to Ford and Chevy fans, both. Once again, on TYCO Pro is the Vega Gotcha, and just like the Pinto, the body would rotate up. It's supposed to stay attached back there. That's where the little arm that popped down on the other one would stand, so that the body could sit like that. So pretty cool stuff. Getting nostalgic sitting here doing these. So we're down to the final 24 TYCOs that are loose, because obviously I got a shit ton on the wall. Oh, good one. Yeah, thank you, Cliff. All right, so let me readjust the chair. Get those up there where you can see. Pardon me, gotta take a swig. We're down to the last 6 cars that Scott had from his youth, and we'll go with these 2 sets cars. Now these, if people remember the other night, I was talking with Mike. If you're still on here, Mike, these should look familiar, because you had a couple of these that you had mentioned you were looking at or had that were on the TCR chassis, and you wanted to know what other chassis fit underneath them. They made these CJ7 Jeeps with several different chassis. Mine come with the Curve Hugger 2 lighted, and these are actual original OG chassis that come with these. In case anybody missed it the other night, I opened one up to show him. You can see where the light fits up in there, and they put the little piece of cardboard over the motor so that the wire, since it has to be bent up there in the middle, wouldn't get caught by the armature, swinging around. And the real fun part is trying to get that thing in there while you're trying to get the body in. There we go. So lighted HP2 chassis, all original. I used to love running these things because they light it up, and they light up the little fog lights up top. But they're just so damn top heavy for those magnets. But it's still cool. Yeah, Mike, there you go. So, that was a recapper for anybody that didn't catch Mike's question the other night. Because that was a good question. Because the next two are curve, or they're total control racing chassis on Blazers. As you can see. And I'll get them both out at the same time since they're set cars. And I didn't have one of these kids tracks, but my neighbor did, and he hated it, and he was throwing away the track. And I asked him if I could have these, and he said yes. And I am so glad that I got them. There they are in all their glory. In case you guys were wondering what a TCR chassis is, as you can see there, means total control, and the front end swivels. See that? And then you can see how there's room for 3 shoes, and how one of them, that's how you could tell what car could control what car, is based on where the shoes were getting the power. And then when you wanted to switch lanes, it would kill power to one of those and shoot it over. And that's why it would try to act like it wanted to turn those wheels. But gimmicky, gimmicky, gimmicky. Like I said, just if you're expecting those little bitty front tires to turn around a plastic track and stay on the inside lane, you've never slot car raced before, because that's never going to happen. So basically on these sets, you go down a straightaway, hope that you pass the guy and get in front of him, so that when you go around that next curve that you're inevitably, everybody's going to slide to the outside to, that you're in front of him. So not a lot of fun. That's why that kid got rid of that track. He hated it. And none of us that had in the neighborhood had any of the other cars. He was the only one that had this set. So he was, we all had real runners with real slot car tracks, and he had that thing. And so, yeah, that's how I ended up with those. Those weren't purchases by me. Those were given to me by my neighbor friend at the time that was throwing away his track because he hated it. Because nobody else in the neighborhood had one. I say no one in the neighborhood. I lived out in the country. There was only 5 houses within 5 miles. So I lived out in the country. We had my closest neighbor was over a half mile away. And well, we've reached the end, the very end, and I saved this one for the very end. So those of you, all 8 of you that are still here, you're going to get to see it live for the first time ever. To any of you that are watching this recording, you're going to get to see it and know that you've reached the end of Scott's personal collection of cars, and the very first slot car that Scott had when he was younger. And I told you it was the white lighted chaparral on a TYCO Pro body, or chassis, I'm sorry. And like all those chaparrals, the wings have been broken off, the glass is out of it. Yeah, the lights are out of it, the front wheels are off of it. I mean, this was my original set car, and they made this set, and I painted it orange. You can see the white back there where it's supposed to be. They came out with this set in 1974. That's not when I got mine, but I just know that from my catalog that I just got. And back, like I said, back in the day, they didn't have trigger controllers. It was like the Auto World thumb controller, except the thumb plunger was exposed and didn't go into the body. And so you could actually break it off if you were jamming on it too hard the wrong way, or if your controller plastic was loose where it joined together. But anyway, back in the day, like I said, you actually had to hook up wires to your power packs and wires to your controllers, and they only came with one car, and that was my one car. So there it is. This is the one car that got me started. And as you can see in line there, since there's a chaparral, I decided I wanted to get a new one if I could. And so what I did is I got me a brand new HP7 chassis. It's not correct for that car. Like I said, that should be a TYCO Pro. And here is the vaunted test shot of my body of that car. So if you guys remember what I told you about test shot bodies, This is the test shop body of that car. Lighted chassis, just like that one should be. White like it should be. There's what it should look like with the wing. The wing didn't come attached. I shoved it in there because, like I said, it's the test shop body. Because now you saw I just pushed the glass up in there and pushed it into place because it's not even been heated to be molded into place. And what's funny is until you get one of these test shop bodies that's not had the glass attached, there's the plastic tree that those are on. They leave a little nub so that it has more plastic to spread out and melt so that it doesn't warp the body itself. Pretty cool. So I got me a test shop body of my original 1974 Chaparral 2D is what those are called. Hey, Steffi. Yeah, I know about the work thing. I'm going to have to be doing that myself tomorrow. Wrap this bad boy up. The test shop body's kind of shrank in a little bit, so it doesn't want to really clip on that chassis. And since that's not the right chassis for it, I don't want to clip it in there. I'm going to try to find me a new old stock TYCO Pro button like it originally came with. And if you were wondering on the availability rating of that Chaparral that I owned, it was a 3. And here's another version of the vaunted Chaparral. This one has been on it's on a gutted HP7 chassis, which I'm going to put that one on whenever, underneath it whenever I get the TYCO Pro for it. But this is a 2, in case you're wondering, which I mean, it was rare from the get-go, and now that it's older, it's even more rare. But like I said, most of the time those wings are broken and or glued, and that one's never been broken or glued or out of its little post stanchions right there. So really good looking. Like I said, number 2, it's ranked as a 2 as far as availability. Thank you, by the way, Steph, for checking in. Appreciate it. And here we have another Chaparral. The number 2, which ironically is once again a 2 in the TYCO guide, which is rare. And it's on lighted curve hugger chassis. And it lights up. Once again, tough to find these with the rear wing, let alone one that has the Chaparral Tampo still on it. So really, really happy to own this car. And like I mentioned, the rest of the night on cars in this case is Mustangs. This is more of my Mustangs. So some of these you may or may not seen. This is the Fire Chief Red version. You could get this one on a U-turn. I'm sorry, this is the 440, and the white one is the U-turn. And it's supposed to be on a lighted chassis too, but it's not. Someone put a 440 underneath it. That's fine. I'll find one. The whole idea of just trying to find one of these Fire Chief Red Mustangs is hard. They're pretty rare. Code 911 on there. And there you can see fire department on the roof and Fire Chief on the side. And then this white version I'm getting ready to show you, it's the U-turn version. Kind of like that Dodge Stealth was the other night that I showed you guys. There. Once again, this is a white Fire Chief, but he's on a U-turn chassis. See, his wheels don't spin. They're solidly mounted, but it's a new old stock version. Got it once again from one of those vendors over in Taiwan. And so getting that bad boy, that's a 2 in the Mustang world, and so is the Fire Chief. So they were rare to begin with. and to get one that's new old stock. Pretty cool if you're a Mustang guy. Even if you're not, just having a rare car, pretty cool. This new old stock. Alrighty. The next one here, I'm gonna show it and then I'll show you what it does. This is one of the two Transformer Mustangs right here. And I'll transform it here in just a second. But just to show you, I got me a real good version of it. None of it's broken. The tampo's all good. The stripes are all still there. The Mustang's all still there. This is just a real good version of this car. And let's see if we can't get the we're going to transform him. So as you can see, the front of the car splits up like that. There's his arms. And there's the problem with these. There you go. There's your transformed Mustang. His little head is the scoop up front. But I can tell someone drove him around like this because he's quite easy to move around. Most of them are really sticky and hard. This one's been played with. You can tell it's got a little bit of use on the bottom. So anyway, to put him back together, you just fold his arms back up. That makes his front fender. And you take his head and spin it around and flip it over and push it down, and there you go. He's back to being a Mustang. Pretty cool. And this is the white version of that, and I'm not going to do it since we just literally just saw what happened. But someone's taken the liberty to scrape off the tampo off the side off of this one to make it just look like a normal 79 box body Mustang. But it's still a transformer like the other one was. I mean, just blue. He's all there and he still works just like the other guy. Alrighty. And here's probably the Highway Patrol Mustang that most people were familiar with, and that's the U-turn Mustang. So it's like the white U-turn Fire Chief, except this one's a little more common. This one was actually released in a race set. It was Police Chase or something like that, and this car was specific for that, just so they could turn and chase you, because it would actually go either way on the track. It's on a U-turn chassis, which is different, and the lights do light up. So that's a cool little car to have. And I've actually had that one out on my track and made it do the U-turn. And if you guys own one of those, you know that it makes the noises like a little siren. Just real faint. And the lights light up. And then there's the version with the HP7 that's non-U-turn. And that's a new old stock version of that one. New old stock. Beautiful car. And then I'm going to show you a version of that car that a lot of people even knew existed. But there is a version of that Highway Patrol Mustang with different lights. Here it is. It's the one that big square lights. It's on a curve hugger chassis, and it is lighted also. This is lighted. So don't know if it's got the little radar gun that's sticking out the side there. It's black. It's going to be hard to see. But anyway, yeah, lights up and makes the noise. So if you're looking, if you're a Mustang guy, or even if you're not, and if you're just a collector and you're wanting to get all what they call the emergency vehicle cars, or police, then this would be the Mustang that would be the hardest one to find out of all of them that are the highway patrol. The fire chiefs are the rare ones, and then this one. So fire chiefs, and then this highway patrolman with the square lights that lights up. All right, get him wrapped up. Here is it's on a HP2 lighted chassis. It's called the Turbo Mustang. This is a 3 in the collector's guide. Once again, beautiful looking tampo, perfect, not been worn off anywhere. This is used, but in really, really, really good shape. I didn't get a chance to, because of the packing ran late and moving ran late today. I didn't get a chance to put my latest round of eBay sellers out there, but I'm going to have those put out on Tuesday, and I will include again after this video is over. I'll put a link to my eBay page, sellers page, and my version that I'm selling on eBay will be up there on Tuesday night. So if you're interested in this car and you want a good version of it, Tuesday night, eBay. It'll be for sale, and the auction will end on Sunday. I'm going to list it for 5 days. Okay, we're down to the grade 8 of the TYCO and the AFX. And here, I told you we'd see these jam cars again, once again on the TCR chassis. And if you're, these are new old stock, by the way. Same vendor overseas that did the maintenance van. They stuck guide pins in them so you could actually race them on a slotted track. There's a reason why I'm showing you these. There's 2 different versions of this jam car. This is a dark yellow with a black roof, and this is light yellow with TYCO on the roof. So there are 2 different versions of this slam car or jam car, and they are obviously 2 different tampos and 2 different shades of yellow. And these are both new old stock. That's why I got both of them, like I said. And that just shows you that, you know, you can convert those into, see the guide pin, you can convert those, but they have no magnets on the bottom. So, you know, and they're a heavier car because all that extra stuff in there for the lane change. So they wouldn't make a very good racer. And so that one that I have that guy modified and put an HP7 on and put the LED underneath it and the bicycle front end on it, you know, that's pretty cool. Because even though they made these where you can run them on the track, I mean, they even put new rubber tires on them and stuff, but nah, heavy and slow would be my guess. All right, down to 6 of you, but I'm glad the 6 of you are still here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. I've already sold the version of it that I had for sale that I got on the Look What Scott's Got. And these were the 2 personal versions of this car that I kept. This is a 2 in the TYCO guide, so it was rare even when it was made. And as you guys can see, this is a couple of the most perfect renditions of this car that I've ever seen. That's why I kept them both. Perfect in every way. There's nothing wrong with either one of these cars. Both of them on the correct lighted HP2 chassis. Both of them have perfect tempo. Both of them have lighted chassis that run and work. And then they're already listed as rare. So these are a couple of winners. And one of these days, I'm going to have to bring myself to part with one of them, because having two of them is just being selfish when somebody else could enjoy one, in my opinion. So that's why I'm holding on to both of those for a little bit. I can't decide which one I want to keep. They're both in equally as good shape. Kind of like one of those things where you have to choose your kid. Just can't do it. All right, here it is. We're not playing basketball, but the final four. Another Mustang GT. That's all it is. Red, white, and blue. Cool looking car. On HP7 chassis. Like I said, good looking. It's hard to find them that don't have the tampo wore off the sides, because of, like I said, people grabbing them, or the sunroof or the back glass being scratched. Obviously the A-pillars, but or the GT, since that's a negative GT is what they call it, being scratched up. So like I said, good looking car. Trying to get all the Mustangs I can. Some of them I've found that are ones. There's a couple of them that are ones, and I'm not financially where I want to be yet to be able to spend the money that they want for them. Here's another two. If you're in the TYCO Mustang collection world, the brown Cobra Mustang. Once again, it's close to perfect as I can find. Correct HP2 lighted chassis. Great looking car. Cobra's all there on the hood. Cobra's all good on the sides. And no visible scratches or chips or nothing in that brown paint. So good looking car. If you like brown. And I need to find the glass for this bad boy. But finding the glass is going to be easy compared to finding the body in this shape. And this is the Motorcraft number 23. You can see, really cool car, how they did the blue sun fade. And you can obviously see it needs the windshield and the glass and the sunroof and all that. But that's just one piece that clips in there. So all I gotta do is find that, and I got me a good one. HP7 chassis. It's lighted. You see the lights. You can see the wiring for the lights in there. Don't need to pop it off. That'll be a good looking car. Oh, I thought I'd show the difference between an old TYCO and a new TYCO Mustang, since we're here at the end. And this is the new Mustang TYCO. This is the last Mustang TYCO made, and that's their set car that came with the Camaro and the Mustang in it. So you can see how much they changed the size of the cars as they got newer versus the older. And that new Mustang, you can see it sits lower than the 79, wider than the 79. Cool looking car. Both of them. But like I said, that's a set only car, and it comes, the set comes with the Camaro, and I wasn't able to win the Camaro, but I won the one that I wanted with the most, and that was the Mustang. Those Chevy guys, they get pretty intense on their bidding on that Camaro. Or if they're like me, you know, it's a set car, so they're trying to collect it, so they have one of the rarer set cars. So there we have it. We've done another 144 cars tonight. This is the last of the, I have a couple of TYCO tractor trailers and a couple of AFX tractor trailers in with my racing rigs for the auto world. But the last four cases that I have, that I'm going to go through all four tomorrow night, and that is the new Funny Car 4-gear series, the older Funny Car 4-gear Auto World series, and then some other Auto World cars that are thrown in there, Magna Traction, like their Pro Stocks and stuff like that. And then I'm going to tear down the Top Fuel dragsters in the hall that you can see back there. And then you can also see there's some other Auto Worlds in there. There's one of those four-gear Scooby-Doo series at the bottom, and then on the other side of the hallway is the racing rigs. And then Tuesday night, I'm literally going to just set up the camera, aim it at a wall, and I'm going to start packing wall cars. So this room, as far as cars will go, will be completely packed Tuesday night. So however long it takes me Tuesday night, because I've got Wednesday off because of the court thing for the rental place. So however long it takes me Tuesday night to finish every single car that's on this wall, that's how long it takes. So I'm probably going to start right around 7, and then I'm just going until it's done. And like I mentioned, if you are able to stop in live, be sure and say hi. So I'm happy to see that there's still 8 of you guys here, and it's almost 11 o'clock Central Standard Time on a Sunday night. So hats off. Thank you guys for showing your support. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out and watching these last 3 cases. This last one right here is it's going to put me to bed in a good mood, even though I've had a rough moving day and every bone in my body and muscles ache. Like I said, I got to relive a little bit of my childhood and my first year in college stuff. So it's kind of cool. And I got to share it with everybody. So I want to thank all 8 of you that did stop in here live tonight. Please like, share, subscribe. Be sure and check out Jan at Slot Valley Racing, Steve at Stockpile Hobbies, Buckeye, H.O. Drag Racing, that's Slot Car Guy, Ringo at AFX World, Troy at Slot Car Crazy. Anybody that is taking their time to make these videos that does not get paid, and you know that by the number of subscribers they have. If they don't have 1,000 subscribers, they are not getting a dime from YouTube. So that would be everybody that I listed except for the last 2 channels, which is that Slot Car Guy and Slot Car Crazy. Those are the only 2 out of all those that I listed that are making any money off YouTube. So we're doing this because we love the hobby. We're trying to share the hobby with everybody. And we would sincerely appreciate it if everybody that viewed these videos would at least like it and subscribe, even if you don't want to hit the notification bell. Just try to get those subscriptions up for all of us. Try to get the lives. Try to make comments and interact with everybody, because that's how the YouTube algorithms work. I know personally, since I've been doing these packing videos, that half the people that view my videos are not subscribers, and that's consistent. And so I'm confused on why you watch the videos but you won't subscribe. I'm just asking, please subscribe. Help us all out. Help me out. Help Dan out. Troy out. Steve out. Help us all out. Just hit that subscribe button. Get our videos out there in front of more people. Share it with your friends. Tell them to play. Once again, I'm going to get with Ryan tomorrow on the exact email address to email Tim and Ryan about the what you think the starting prices should be for this Friday's or Thursday's auction cars. I think it's support at protinkers.com, but I'm not for sure. So until I get the exact email address, I'm not going to post it down below there, but I am going to get with him Friday or tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to update that in my description. So everybody help support them by emailing Ryan and Tim and telling them what you think the good starting price for those cars would be. And that way they know that they're not starting it out at too high of a starting point or too low that they're giving it away to somebody when, they're out to make money too, because Brian's obviously invested his money in those cars, and he didn't have to do that. He's just doing that to try to get those cars out to hobby enthusiasts like the rest of us are, so that we can enjoy them like the previous owner did. So I want us all to encourage them, because it's my understanding he's got another 1,000 set that he bought, car set collection that he bought, but he hadn't even got through the first collection that he bought. So in order for him to do that, like he's doing it with the auctions, keep Timo going up with the cars and coffee with him and Ryan, we got to show the interest. We got to get those cars sold and get a fair price for them. And that way it keeps him from just slapping them on eBay and basically getting them so expensive that none of us could afford them, or most of us couldn't. Anyway, so I will get this video updated tomorrow morning after I get with Ryan, and I will put that email address to email them on this week's auction cars. So please support them. I'm going to get off here, guys. It's been a long day. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I've still got to do a couple of loads of laundry. So I've got some domesticated housework to do before the alarm goes off at 6. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to everybody that showed up live tonight and participated. Hey, Cliff, thank you. Oh, no, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it, man. Like I said, even if nobody was there, I'd keep doing it, but it makes it a lot more enjoyable when I have interaction and I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. Hey, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Steph. Appreciate you guys stopping in. You guys are some of my most loyal subscribers, so I appreciate you. Thank you both very much. Everybody that came in tonight and staying up this late, obviously you like what you see, so thank you. I appreciate it. And I know everybody says it, but I and most all of us in the H.O. hobby that are making these videos sincerely mean it when we say thank you for watching. We would appreciate it if you would subscribe and give us a thumbs up and share it so that we could get that word out. So without further ado, everybody enjoy what's left of your Sunday evening. Get out there, light some sparks and melt some plastic. You will see me tomorrow night, and we will do those 4 Auto World cases, and we will have all 16 cases bubble wrapped up. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.